Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Last time around we had Time for Heaven, New Moon, New Priest. So we got a confrontation between Jolene and Poochie, which was pretty cool, and a bit of a fight as well, which was good, where Jolene actually fashioned handcuffs to hold the two of them together as they fought, which was pretty interesting. But in the end, Poochie played dirty. He lobbed Jotaro's memory disk into a dying Anastasia, so Jolene had to stop the fight in order to try to get the disc back, and then Poochie got away with the child, and then FF was able to revive Anastasia, and they saved the memory disk, but unfortunately FF perished again. But this time for real, they did the whole JoJo thing of her soul flying up and ascending into heaven. So yeah, unfortunately FF is gone. Poochie has the child. He also knows the way into heaven or whatever, and yeah, it's just kind of a bad time. The only up is that Jolene does have Jotaro's memories back, so they can fully revive Jotaro, which is something at least. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Like always, the reaction is in the description and the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Here we go. Let's look up Jailhouse Lock, although I'm pretty sure we can guess what it is. Oh wait, it is? It's just jail... Okay, well, namesake is Jailhouse Rock. Oh, okay, so it's a situation where in the original, in the sub, it's called Jailhouse Lock, therefore they don't have to change it. That's a censoring in... Well, not censoring. It makes more sense to call it Jailhouse Lock, but it is still based on Jailhouse Rock, the Elvis song. So, was there anything else? No, I guess that was it. Okay, so I was right. Jailhouse. Hey man, you give me some old school Elvis or something, I can get a reference easily. You know, I don't understand the music of today, and by today I mean 20 years ago when this shit was being made in the manga. It's probably more than 20 at this point, or something. I don't know. When did Stone Ocean come out? Well, I guess I could look that up too. Let's look up when Stone Ocean came out. God, my friggin' thumbs. I cannot spell to save my life. No, not the manga, please. Okay, the original run was December of 99 to April of 2003. God damn. It's incredible how long ago all of this was. 99, that's when part 4 takes place, you know? But he was on part 6. And part 4, that came out in the mid-90s, I'm pretty sure, so... Anyway. So yeah, an interesting thing with this one. So, okay, I know there's a whole big explanation of how to get into heaven and all of that stuff, but look, I'm not going to go into all the details that Dio was talking about, because I don't know what any of this is, achieving heaven or anything like that, so. But one of the main things is it involves the world. And so they mention it's oh, that's why your father sealed the world away. Well, no. He didn't seal the world away. He destroyed it thoroughly, you know? And this is one of those things where Araki clearly didn't have this in mind in part 3, because they make it sound like, oh, this is the reason. Jotaro knew about Dio's plan, and so that's why he sealed away the world. No, because the whole thing is that Jotaro found Dio's notebook, but he found it after the fight, and he burned it. Thus, only Jotaro had the knowledge of how to achieve heaven. But that wasn't like... Because we watched the entire time Jotaro and the Crusaders were in Dio's mansion in Cairo. And no, they didn't... There was none of that. Like, and that's the thing, is that it's like, oh, he sealed away the world. Like, he didn't have any thoughts like that. His thought was, I have to kill Dio, you know? And that's exactly what he did, you know? That's exactly what he did, is... In one of the greatest fights in all of JoJo, he was able to outthink Dio. And again, I'll always go back to, I absolutely love Jotaro versus Dio, because it's not a friggin', you know, like most other, I feel like, shonen anime, where it's like, well, now I have this power up, and now I'm stronger, and therefore I win, or something like that. It's like, that was a battle of wits, that fight. It was so good. It was such a good fight, you know? And the only reason, because Jotaro had such a disadvantage, you know? Which is why, honestly, you know, not even comparing this to other anime, just within itself, that's why Jotaro versus Dio, Joseph versus Cars, even Jonathan versus Dio, and then also Josuke versus Kira are all excellent final battles, you know? Which is why I never really cared for Giorno versus Diavolo, because, I mean, that's not even really a fight. Like, the preceding quest, you know, not even quest, but the preceding, you know, scramble to get the arrow was good, but I still am never going to like Golden Wind Requiem. I just think that was a pretty lazy ending to Part 5, which is such a shame, because Part 5 was good. So I'm hoping that we get Jolene versus Poochie, and it's such a, you know, good JoJo fight, you know? Because I don't know, like, if Poochie's going to, like, evolve or something, I don't know. Because he's definitely different, you know? A lot of his hair is longer, his weird thing, like his hair going across his face, that's weird. But he also has the Joestar birthmark now. So presumably he fused with the child. He fused with the child, thus becoming more powerful. And if that's the case, Jolene is at more of a disadvantage now. But when they're at more of a disadvantage, that's when. Like, the only person who was not at a disadvantage in their fight was, like, Jonathan, just because Jonathan was that good. Like, Jonathan and Dio were probably equals in terms of power. Or I don't even know, maybe Jonathan was better with his Hamon, you know? Because that's the thing is, you know, Jonathan lost one fight to Dio, and that was the boxing match in episode 1. And after that, he kicked Dio's ass every time they fought, you know? So maybe that's the one time a JoJo is not on the back burner when it comes to a fight, but I don't know, I'm really hoping for a really solid fight between Jolene and Poochie, you know? And I feel like we got a taste of that last episode, but yeah. But that whole thing of like, oh, that's why Jotaro sealed away the world, and it's like, well, no. He destroyed the world because he needed to kill Dio. He needed to kill Dio because A, he's Dio. You know, he is a menace, he was a vampire with a stand. But B, he was also there to save his mother, you know? Like, there was none of this heaven stuff in Part 3. And while it works, making this a follow-up to Part 3, at the same time, you do kind of have to retcon... you're not even retconning anything from Part 3. You're just retconning, like, oh, this is also a thing Dio and Jotaro were doing, you know? Dio was trying to achieve heaven. Jotaro, you know, learned that and sealed away the world, you know? I don't know. Tokyo Mew Mew. What are we doing here? So that's an interesting thing. Again, it is one of those stands where it's like, it's great in this episode, in this, you know, scenario. I honestly, like, I feel like a lot of stands like this, they're like escape rooms. It's like, they're very specific situations designed specifically to be a challenge to whoever has to deal with it. However, if you think about their practicality, it doesn't make any sense, you know? Like, there are so many stands that if you had this and you're just a normal Joe Schmo, you're fucked, basically. Or even, like, I don't know, if you're in a different scenario, it would be just terrible, you know? Like, how often does she use this stand, you know? But yes, it is useful when it comes to trapping Jolene and Emporio because they can't meet up and figure this out because they can only retain 3 of their memories, you know? Now, it's interesting with Emporio, his are, he spilled the water, he needs to unplug the thing, he needs to see Jolene. But then, or is it, or no, what was it? Thinking we just had this and I can't even remember it already. But basically what happens is he forgets the first one, which is he spilled his water. But the second one is still he needs to unplug the thing or he dies. So once he loses the first memory, you know, he forgets that he spilled the water. Shouldn't he still act on I need to unplug it? He doesn't remember why, but he remembers that he needs to. I don't know. It's a bad situation that Emporio's in. Maybe even a little worse than Jolene because he's getting hurt while he's doing this, you know? So, I don't know. But that's an interesting thing. Just the whole, you know, you can only memorize 3 things. You know, you can only learn 3 pieces of information. And, you know, for Jolene, you know, now it's like, well, she's been basically looping through this for days, you know? But she finally, like, she kept one memory. She needs to find Emporio. And instead of writing that down, like, she somehow figured out with her remaining memories that, you know, if you write it down, it is subject to being washed away. So she literally carved it into her arm using Stone Ocean. So now that memory is always intact. So that's at least something. And even if, like, I assume if she, you know, takes away Stone Ocean's thread, there will still be a scar there. So, you know, I will say one thing that's interesting, and I think it's just because, you know, it's obviously just because it's an anime. I do always find it interesting that she specifically, like, writes everything in Japanese, you know? And there's another point, I think it's during the first episode with weather forecast, where I think it's when she throws the cup and, like, strings it to, like, throw her voice, and all of it comes out in Japanese, obviously, because this is an anime. But there is a part of me that's like, well, shouldn't it be in English? Because she's American? I mean, she's half... Well, she's not even half Japanese. She's like a quarter Japanese, technically, you know, because Jotaro is only half. But, like, does Jolene even know Japanese? Like, I don't know. I know it's a whole thing of, like, you know, because it's an anime, it's all being written. But I did also notice her note is written in English, you know? So, I don't know. I mean, it could just be Araki didn't care. He didn't give 2 shits. And it's JoJo. I shouldn't give 2 shits either. But it's just an interesting thing I noticed. But yeah, but she specifically carved into her arm to go find Emporio. So that's at least something. So, yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that's kind of all I got. I do like the design of Jailhouse Lock. I think that was pretty cool. You know, I just noticed this episode is titled Lock of the Jail, when you'd think it would just be called Jailhouse Lock. But they still say Jailhouse Lock in the dub, so I'm assuming it was all fine with copyright. I don't know, but still, good episode. The design of Jailhouse Lock was really interesting, and again, you know, I talk about, you know, the utility of stands, and this one, just awful utility. But it makes for a good episode, so I'm alright with it. And it was nice to see Gwess. We haven't had her in so long that it's nice to see Quest, so. Yeah, that's basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reactions, as well as another video you can go check out if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.